So today I want to talk about some ways in which you can change your life simply by changing your mindset and your perspective on certain things. So keep watching. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Lethu and thank you so much for tuning in. So if you haven't already, please do press that red subscribe button down below to join our family, and let's get into today's video. So today I'm going to share 6 mindset shifts that can change your life, and the first one that I want to speak about is the fact that your circumstances don't define you. The same water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's about what you're made of, not the circumstances. So I spoke about this in my previous video, the fact that the mind is such a powerful tool in that it has the power and the potential to determine our destiny, because our thoughts feed into our values, they feed into our beliefs, our habits, which builds our characters and can determine our destiny. So knowing how powerful the mind can be, it's important for us to learn to manage our minds, to determine which thoughts we entertain and focus on and which ones to let go of. And fortunately enough, we have control over that. We can determine that. And it's also important to remind ourselves that we aren't our thoughts, because thoughts are fleeting. They come and they go. So one minute you can feel powerful and confident and really good about yourself because of an accomplishment, and the next thing you feel stupid because of a mistake or a failure. But just because you feel stupid in that moment doesn't actually mean that you are a stupid person. So our thoughts aren't always a true reflection of who we are. We also tend to develop limiting beliefs over the years as we grow up, just based on the things that we hear, the things we see, the things we're told, and the environment that we grew up in. So you may have thought to yourself that you are an unattractive person because of the things that you were told or the beauty standards at that time. Or you may have grown up in poverty and thought to yourself you'll never be successful or you can never be wealthy because of the conditions that you grew up in. But fortunately enough, we have the power to change those limiting beliefs and we can build our self-confidence. So there's an array of examples of people who felt that way about themselves, or people who grew up in those conditions but were able to turn things around for themselves. So use those examples to build your self-confidence and to change those beliefs. So for example, you can say, if so-and-so felt unattractive while growing up, but they exude confidence today and they are comfortable in their own skin, so can I. If so-and-so grew up in poverty, but she's a successful and wealthy, powerful woman today, I can be the same. So use those examples. There are so many examples. Use those examples to change your beliefs about yourself and about life in general. And remember that life is all about our decisions and how we choose to respond to certain situations. And the energy flows where the attention goes. So if you choose to focus on the negative things and the negative self-talk that's happening in your head, that's the kind of life that you're going to live. So retain faith that you will prevail in the end regardless of the difficulties. And at the same time, confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. You don't have to, you get to. Coming from a place of humility instead of entitlement, and recognizing that you are blessed enough to get the chance to do something can change everything. So this mindset shift can change your attitude towards something from feeling like it's a burden to feeling like it's an opportunity or a privilege. So I can choose to think to myself, I have to edit this video after this and it's such a tedious process. Or I can choose to think, I get to create beautiful and meaningful content and I get to do what I love. And that shift in perspective alone, that change in attitude, can literally change everything. Because everything that happens from that point on, everything that follows from that point on, will be based on my attitude towards this one thing. If I choose to constantly associate editing with a negative emotion, and if I always feel like it's a drag, that'll hinder me from doing my utmost best at that task, and it can potentially hinder me from doing what I love, because eventually I'll just stop. If I always feel negatively about editing, I'll stop creating content. So let's try to change our attitude towards these things. I also read about a man who uses a wheelchair, and whenever this man was asked whether it was difficult being confined, he would say, I'm not confined by my wheelchair, I'm liberated by it. If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and I'd never be able to leave my house. And that shift in perspective completely transformed his life. Someone else would choose to look at that as a very restricting or a very restrictive life, and they'd never be able to see the opportunities that are still available to them just because of their attitude. I also feel like sometimes we take a lot of things for granted and we get so entitled, like we feel like the next day is owed to us, and we don't realize that there are people out there who thought to themselves, I'll start my YouTube channel tomorrow, or I'll edit that video tomorrow, but they didn't get the chance to. So whether you're ready or not, just show up and have that willingness to take action, and that will literally change your life. You'll see that you'll start making a lot of progress. Marie Forleo, who's the author of the book Everything is Figureoutable, also speaks about this concept. She speaks about the fact that our actions are shaped by our beliefs. So your actions and your behaviors are a reflection of the things that you believe about yourself and the things that you believe about life in general. So if you're someone who chooses to believe that you can't do something or that you can't attain a certain kind of life, you most probably won't. But if you choose to believe that you can and that you'll figure it out along the way, you probably will, so long as you put in the work and the effort. And whether you get there or not, it'll definitely propel you a lot closer to that goal or to that destination compared to someone who just doesn't believe in themselves at all. Technology has advanced so much over the years, and it's all because of people who believed that they could do it. People who believed that they could transform their visions into a reality. So instead of being problem-oriented people, let's be solution-oriented people, because focusing and dwelling on the problem will only make you feel powerless and stuck in life. But choosing to find solutions whenever you're faced with an obstacle will empower you and give you confidence to keep doing whatever it is that you're doing in spite of the obstacles that you may be faced with. Be your own cheerleader. So we can be our worst critics sometimes. We criticize so much about ourselves, and that's why it's important for us to learn to be our biggest supporters and our biggest cheerleaders. Steve Harvey says that our dreams and our imagination and just all of the things that we see for ourselves are a preview to what's coming. So if you can see it in your mind, you have what it takes to make it a reality. So your dreams are yours for a reason. They've been planted in your head for a reason. And the biggest mistake that you can make is relying on other people to validate those dreams for you. That is where the enemy comes to play. That's where the enemy takes advantage of the situation, because he will use the people that you trust most, the people who are close to you, to distract you and to lead you astray. The enemy's job is to distract us and to separate us from our destiny, to stop us from fulfilling our purpose, because the enemy is intimidated by what God wants to do through you. So don't rely on other people to validate dreams that God has planted in your head. So whether these people have your best interest at heart or not, the truth is that we all project. We project our fears, our worries, and our insecurities onto other people, whether we realize it or not. And so when someone is asking for your opinion on something that you'd never do, your initial response is, and so it's important for us to be our own biggest supporters and our own biggest cheerleaders, and to rely on our own intuition instead of relying on other people's opinions on whether we should pursue a certain dream or not. Time alone is essential. You must first be who you really are, then do what you really need to do in order to have what you want. So I'm an introvert, and so naturally this is easy for me. I enjoy spending time alone and I don't have an issue with it. But I know that for extroverts or for extroverted people, this can be quite challenging. But I think that to be more in tune with your true self, you do need to be able to set aside time to be alone, to be one with your thoughts, and to learn to be content with being in your own company. So in these past 2 years, I've had to spend a lot of time alone, and I feel like in that time I've morphed more and more into my true self, and it's led me down a path of self-discovery, and it's leading me to a more meaningful and purposeful life, because I'm not so distracted by the noise. I'm not distracted by external influences as much. When you're constantly around other people, you'll find that you start to speak like them, you start to have the same kinds of opinions as they do on certain subject matters, and so you can start to lose your sense of self and your sense of individualism because you're so influenced by them and their opinions. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, and so that's why it's important to be able to set some time aside to be alone, to truly get to know yourself and to really be in tune with your true self. Success is subjective, so the idea or the notion of success is very relative. It differs from person to person because we all value different things as individuals. But over the years, as we grow older, we tend to develop a preconceived notion of what success looks like or what it should look like, just based on the things that we are fed by the media, the things we see on social media, and the opinions of people around us. So what our family or what our parents want for us and what our friends think success should look like. So it can get quite confusing, and you may end up finding yourself pursuing someone else's version of success. That's why it's important for us to define or redefine success for ourselves, to know what success looks like to us. Because for one person, success could mean having a big car, a big house, all of those kind of things. For someone else, it could be a very simple and slow-paced life. And no version is better than the other, because if your version is going to bring you happiness, that's what's best for you, and that's what you should be pursuing. So redefine success for yourself and pursue that. Perfectionism is a drawback. Perfectionism magnifies your mistakes and minimizes your progress. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm currently obsessed with this book. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's all about breaking bad habits and building good ones. I highly recommend this book if you really want to change your life. This is the book for you. But I think that I'll be creating maybe 1 or 2 videos just based on this book alone, just a few chapters in this book alone. So regarding perfectionism, the author speaks about a film photography professor who divides his class into 2 groups. So the first group is the quantity group and the other group is the quality group. So they have an assignment to take pictures, and in the quantity group, they have to take as many pictures as they possibly can to get a really good result or a really good mark. So if you take about 100 pictures, you'll get an A. If you take 90 pictures, you'll get a B, and so forth. And then people in the quality group have to take 1 really good picture, 1 amazing picture to get an A. So funny enough, the best quality picture came from the quantity group, the people who had to produce as many pictures as possible. And that's because they were putting in the work. They were honing in on their skills, and they were refining their skills along the way. They were perfecting their craft along the way, while the others were busy fantasizing and thinking and strategizing on how to get that perfect picture. So the author then goes on to speak about the difference between being in motion and taking action. So being in motion is all about being in your head. It's all about strategizing and planning, all of those kind of things. And taking action is actively or physically doing something that will produce results. The thing about motion is, even though it's great because you do learn, it's not good enough because it doesn't produce results. You don't get an outcome out of it. But with taking action, you do produce results. So if motion doesn't lead to results, why do we do it? Sometimes we do it because we usually need to plan or learn more. But more often than not, we do it because motion allows us to feel like we're making progress without running the risk of failure. Most of us are experts at avoiding criticism. It doesn't feel good to fail or to be judged publicly, so we tend to avoid situations where that might happen. And that's the biggest reason why you slip into motion rather than taking action. You want to delay failure. So today I want to encourage you to stop overthinking, stop strategizing, stop planning, and actually start taking action. Take that first step into doing the things that you want to do. And that's the only way that you're going to perfect your craft. There are people out there who need to hear the things that you want to say. There are people out there who are waiting for that product or that service that you want to provide, and who will find value in those things, whether it's perfect or not. So just do it, and you'll perfect it along the way. Stop being a perfectionist, because you're only going to hold yourself back from pursuing your dreams. So that brings me to the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Let's grow this community. And let me know in the comment section below what limiting beliefs have been holding you back from doing the things that you want to do, and which of these mindset shifts you're going to be applying to overcome those limiting beliefs. And remember to never give up on the life you know you deserve. I'll see you in my next upload. Bye.